Welcome to OLC 40. This is class 13, and I am Jillian Percy. Welcome to OLC 40, class 13. This is Jillian Percy, and here are the ways to reach me. I'm in the studio right now, so that number is 1-800-465-7144. I can also be reached during office hours for 1-800-667-3703. You can fax your work to me at 1-800-463-7852. You can also email me your work at jillian.percy@nnecschools.org. If you want to rewatch a recording, go to YouTube, capital G, capital P, ERCY space and capital W AHSA. Okay, grammar. Yesterday we talked about prefixes, which come at the beginning of a word and change its meaning. Today we're going to talk about suffixes, which come at the end of a base word and can change or modify its meaning as well. Some of them we see so often we don't even realize they are a suffix. For example, when we see a noun with S or ES, we know it means the noun is plural. The S or the ES are a type of suffix. Some common suffixes for verbs are ed. When we add ed to the end of a regular verb, it means the verb happened in the past. Yesterday, we walked to the store. When we add ing to the end of a regular verb, it means the verb is happening continuously and sometimes currently, like we are walking to the store right this minute. You want to come with us? Or she has been swimming every day, like it's a continuous activity that she's doing. And again, we use these so commonly we don't even recognize that we're using them, but they are a very common suffix. Knowing suffixes can help you figure out new or unfamiliar words. Most of us use about 20,000 words actively. We often recognize about 40,000 more words that we may not use commonly. However, there are a lot more words in the English language. The second edition of the 20-volume Oxford English Dictionary contains full entries for over 170,000 words and over 47,000 obsolete words. That means like words that used to be common but don't get used anymore, but you might encounter them in things like Shakespeare and older works, okay? That's over 200,000 words in the language. So none of us know all of them. We're always encountering new words in books, or when we go to the doctors and they talk about new words, or we get a new job and there's new words involved with that job. So knowing what suffixes mean is just one tool to help you puzzle out the meaning of new words. Now I found this really helpful site. Let me see if it'll come up. Hang on a sec. Okay, so this is called 40 Suffixes in English and Fun Ways to Learn Them. I don't know about the fun part. I apologize. I don't know if it's necessarily fun, but useful maybe, okay? So there's different suffixes. Some are for adjectives, some are for nouns, some are for verbs. These are some of the ones for adjectives. Able means capable. So if you add it to the end of a word, it means you're capable of something. So adaptable is capable of adapting. Noticeable means you're capable of being noticed. So they aren't like a meaning in themselves. They just kind of modify the meaning of the base word. So airy means it's relating. So solitary is relating to solitude. Disciplinary is relating to discipline. Means more, like bigger, more big. Est means most, like smallest. Full is full of something, like we're careful, we're wonderful. Able is a lot like capable, okay? Credible is capable of receiving credit. Ick is just relating to. So poetic relates to poetry. Photographic relating to photography. It creates an adjective out of it, basically. Same thing with ish. Childish has the characteristics of a child. Softish, which I don't think I've really heard, but anyways, it would have the characteristics of softness. Less means without. Meaningless, no meaning. Careless, no care. Hopeless, without hope. Like is a lot like ish. It shares characteristics or similarities. Lifelike is something that has similarities to being alive. Childlike, similarities to being a child. Us, like OUS, is like we'd add it to the end of these nouns. Caution, or you could be cautious. There's generosity, or you could be generous. The Y is it's characterized by or made up, not made up like pretend, but made up like it's that's what it's made of. So fruity is made of fruit. Sticky is characterized by how it sticks. And we use that one all the time, right? Sunny, foggy, windy. These ones are for nouns. So age or age is the action or the process of. So passage is the action of passing through. All is the process or the act. Refusal is the act of refusing. Ant refers to a person. So servant is a person who serves. An assistant is a person who assists. Cracy means power or rule. So a democracy is ruled by the entire or most of the populace. Aristocracy would be the aristocrats, the highest class. Dom or dumb, it doesn't mean like as in intelligence. It's talking about a place or a state of being, like a kingdom or boredom or freedom. Is referring back to a person. A carpenter is a person who does carpentry. A teacher does teaching. S refers to a female, like a lioness or a actress. Et means smaller, like a kitchenette is a small kitchen. A cigarette is a small cigar. Hood is referring to a state of being, like motherhood, you're being a mother. Childhood, you're being a child. They've got I-O-N, I would say T-I-O-N, shun, the action of. Celebration is the action of celebrating. Completion is the action of completing. Ism is a belief. Communism is a belief in communists. Theism is a belief in gods. Ity is having the quality. An activity has the quality of being active. Simplicity has the quality of being simple. Log is speech, dialogue, monologue. Ment is the action or result of. Enchantment is the result of being enchanted. Argument is the action of arguing. Ness is another state of being word. Sickness, gentleness. Here's another person word, or, actor, narrator. Now, a lot of times you can see some of these suffixes, it's like there's multiple ones that mean person. There's multiple ones that mean without. And the reason is because English borrows from multiple languages. We borrow from Greece, we borrow from Latin, we borrow from French. And so when we borrow their word, that ending or that suffix ends up becoming one of ours as well. So that's why there can be suffixes that there's multiple suffixes that mean the same thing, okay? Ship is like a position, not like a place position, but like a state. Citizenship is the position of being a citizen. Friendship is the position of being friends, like a relationship idea. TH adds quality, like depth or warmth, and UER is a condition. I think we're close to the end. Eyes is to become something, so civilize would be to become civil. N is also another becoming one, like soften, to become soft. And iffy is another becoming one, like simplify. Ward is direction, like toward or backward. And we've got ac and an, both meaning like relating to. Then we've got cycle, like a circle, bicycle, or recycle. Ear is somebody who's engaged in, a volunteer, an engineer. And wise would be direction, clockwise or lengthwise. All right. Okay, lesson 9 is called A Picture is Worth 1,000 Words. And this lesson, when finished, is worth 10 marks. In lesson 7, we looked at how to read a textbook. In this lesson, you're going to look at how to read a type of text you may not have thought of as text. But if you are getting information out of it when you look at it and think about it, then it is a type of reading. And as we have seen, there's many types of reading that people do every day and many reasons for doing so. So visual text is text that is visual. There are usually words and pictures, but they work together to enhance the meaning of what you're looking at. So can you think of any examples of text where the pictures are as important, if not more important than the words? If you said comic books or graphic novels, then you're right on track. Other things such as maps or tables, charts, timelines or diagrams, even advertisements and instruction manuals. It's really important to understand the organizational structure of different types of visual texts so that you can identify the purpose, find the information, and identify any important details. So how does the form of a visual text help the reader to understand the information or message it's trying to convey? They say that a picture is worth 1,000 words. You be the judge. Okay, assignment 27 is called emoticons and symbols. I was a little bit worried when I read this. I kind of have added some details. Yeah. If you've used a computer or cell phone to send emails and text messages, you'll be familiar with emoticons. They have become emojis these days, okay? If you look at an emoticon, the first part of the word means emotion, and the second part means icon, which can be identified as a picture. So what does one do with an emoticon? Well, you show emotions through text. So these are really common when I was growing up, okay? I don't know if they're as common. I feel like emojis have kind of taken over, and I was a little bit concerned about this. So question number 1 is, what does each emoticon mean? And give an example of when you would use it. So the first one is this J, the second one is this L, the third one is this kind of these two symbols together. It's 1 mark for all of those. I apologize. That's just, again, I didn't make this. In case you're not familiar with these, there's a little link here. Wikipedia shows what these emoticons mean and shows the type of emojis that have replaced them. Okay. Why do you think emoticons or emojis, that's fine, have become so popular? Why do people like them so much? Question 3, list 3 other emoticons or emojis that you have used or seen, what they mean, and when you use them. Another form of visual text or pictures that we look at for information is called the symbol. Like emoticons, symbols generally stand for something specific, and they're often recognized across cultures and languages. That's really why we use them. Answer the following questions. Question 4 says, brainstorm a list of reasons for using symbols instead of words, which, hint, hint, we just kind of talked about. Number 5, do you consider punctuation, such as periods, commas, and exclamation marks, to be symbols? Why or why not? Hint, you may want to refer to a dictionary, such as Wikipedia, to find a definition of punctuation before you answer that question. Number 6 says, what do you think the following symbols stand for? And we'll go to the next page. There is too many to fit on here. So you would look at each symbol and say what you think it stands for. So this is a picture of a 4-leaf clover, and traditionally 4-leaf clovers stand for luck. So go through, name each one and say what it stands for. Some of these, if you're not sure of, you could again look up online. These ones down here are usually put on manufactured goods like soaps and cleaning supplies, so that people understand what kind of danger they have. They're very specific danger. I think just looking at the visual, you can tell what the danger is. But if not, again, you can look those up online. We've been talking about symbols as text in the last 2 assignments. Tattoos are another form of text that you see often on a daily basis. Often tattoos hold great meaning for the person who has them. They often tell stories, or they can indicate spiritual beliefs. Sometimes they show what a person is interested in or what they used to be interested in, as well as a whole host of other information. A picture really is worth 1,000 words. So there's kind of a little collection here of common types of tattoos. Little butterfly on a girl's shoulder. Then we've got like an anchor on the guy's arm. See, and for me, I think pretty typically you see an anchor, that means they're a sailor. Maybe they're in the Navy. Then you've got this kind of Celtic looking arm band. And then this beautiful scene. If that's on a guy's leg or if that's on his back. But anyways, it's quite a pretty little scene. And then we have the mark sheet. So all of that is lesson 9. Lesson 9 is just that emoticons and symbols stuff, okay? It's pretty simple stuff that should be easy to finish off. All right, and then we go on to lesson 10, which is the last lesson in this unit, but there's a few assignments in this lesson. There are 44 marks total for advertising. They start off with a quote here. Advertising is the art of convincing people to spend money they don't have for something they don't need. And that is from Will Rogers, who was a very famous actor back in the day. The above quote is quite interesting and downright negative, but you have to admit there's many times when you're watching TV or reading a magazine or even just driving down the road, minding your own business, and you suddenly need something being advertised. It is important that you as a consumer become literate in reading and or watching or hearing advertisements. In this case, they mean that you become kind of like savvy on knowing all the tricks of advertisements. All advertisements target a specific audience, and they are created for a specific purpose, usually to persuade you to buy something. Often, advertisements try to appeal to more than one group of people. After all, the more people that are influenced by the ad, the more money the company doing the advertising makes. All right, so I wanted to do a little ad analysis with you. This is a Heinz ketchup commercial. And as we're watching it, I want you to think about who are they targeting? Who is their audience? What appeal are they making? In other words, like, how are they trying to make their product look attractive? Let me see if I can make this work here.
This is Dave, head of marketing at a ketchup company about to use Grammarly to handle a tight deadline.
I've got an idea for a Heinz ketchup commercial. I was at this super posh restaurant. Super posh. The type of place that has chandeliers and paintings on the wall and way too many forks. I think classical music was playing, but maybe it was jazz. No, definitely classical. The hostess walks up to me and she said, "Mr. Sheeran, is this your first time dining with us?" And I say, "Yep." The waiter comes over, he's telling me about the specials. Super fancy vegetables, fancy sauces. I said, "Sounds fancy." So fast forward and the food comes. The waiter goes on to tell me, "We are proud to present this farm-to-table blah blah blah, posh and fancy blah blah blah, with a side of blah blah blah." You know, the food looked good. I just thought there was something missing. So I reach into my bag and I take out the only thing that can complete me. And at that point, the whole world came to a stop. And the waiter was screaming through his eyes. So that's my idea. Do you want to do it?
All right. So, who are they targeting? Who is their audience? Oh, hang on, sorry. My apologies. Hint, my 85-year-old mom would be baffled by this commercial because she has no clue who the main actor is. So they're obviously going for a younger audience, right? My mom doesn't know who Ed Sheeran is, nor would she care, right? They're not going for the posh people, are they? Because they're kind of making fun of all the posh people. So they're looking for your average, everyday person, not the kind of person that would normally go into a big fancy restaurant. The kind of person that thinks, hey, everything tastes better with ketchup, which like super foodies and super posh people would not necessarily agree with. What appeal are they making and how are they making their product look attractive? Well, obviously, if Ed Sheeran uses Heinz ketchup, it must be the good ketchup, right? So if you like Ed Sheeran or if you like hip popular music, then that's the kind of ketchup to eat. I love the idea that he was walking around with a bottle of ketchup in his bag. But anyways, that's one of the commercials I found. Different types of advertising. This is a little bit long, but I feel like ads are so common these days. It's almost become like wallpaper that we're just not even aware of how much it's around. So I wanted to kind of talk about that a little bit. And
This avenue, ads were often just billboards, posters, or newspaper ads created based off of hunches, assumptions, or gut feelings. Fast forward to today, in a time where people are bombarded with endless pop-ups, banners, and sponsored social media posts, you really need to differentiate yourself and your ads to break away from all of the noise. To help you do just that, I'm going to go through the different types of ad design that you can use to capture the attention and hearts of your future customers. Advertising design is the intersection of marketing and design and refers to the visual artwork created specifically for advertisements. Not to be confused with graphic design advertising, the sole purpose of advertising design is to sell products and services. When it comes to your ads, there is no shortage of options that you can leverage, from digital channels like email marketing to traditional channels like magazine ads. In this video, we'll be going through the 8 types of advertising design to help inspire your next campaign. If you found this video helpful or inspiring, please give it a like to help those Google robots recommend this video to other amazing people like yourself. And if you want to see more videos like this, then subscribe to our channel for more videos to help you level up your design and marketing capabilities. All right, let's get right into it. Types of advertising design. Video and commercial ads. Video ads live everywhere, on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, TV, and blogs all across your devices. Generally, video ads are a bigger investment than traditional image ads because they often require a lot more production. However, when you do it right, the results are well worth the investment. When it comes to Facebook ads, brands tend to experience a 20 to 30% increase in their conversion rates when their ads are video instead of just still images. To optimize your return on investment, your message needs to resonate with your audience, and how you portray that message is just as important. Display advertisements. Display ads can be found on websites, apps, and social media channels and can be created in a variety of formats, including text, images, video, and audio, and sometimes a combination of those. Generally, this advertising medium garners a higher volume of impressions but a relatively low volume of clicks. A lot of the time, this is because people don't even notice your ad. This is often due to what's called banner blindness or poor design. Sorry to tell you. Display ads are trying to win views and clicks in an already crowded environment. That's why it's imperative that you design something visually captivating to grab the attention of your audience. And because if you don't, people will just scroll right by. Here's a tip for display ads. Think about where your ad may be displayed. Kind of obvious, right? Display ads. What sort of colors and imagery will make it pop off the screen? What will separate your ad from the other types of content that will surround it? Maybe the answer is motion graphics. And if that's the case, we have a whole other video on how you can leverage motion graphics in your marketing. Just click that button up there or the link down there. Social media ads. Depending on your business model, social media ads offer a massive opportunity to bring leads and sales through the door. But when most users find themselves mindlessly scrolling through their feed, creating ads that capture your viewers' attention is critical to your campaign success. Luckily, that's easily achieved with good design. So what makes for great social media ads? Use images that are visually exciting, mix ads up between images and video, be consistent with your branding to build familiarity and brand recognition, and latch on to any relative trends. When it comes to social media advertisements, it's really important to understand your audience. Think of this. What accounts do they follow? What do those feeds look like? And how does that relate to your business? For social ads, it's a balancing act. You want your ad to seem at home in your audience's feed, but unique enough to hook them in the first 3 seconds. Oh, and don't be afraid to test different creative and copy to see what sticks. By the way, we've got tons more digital ad design insights, expert tips, and case studies in our free ad design guide. It covers the channel best practices and case studies for Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Amazon, third-party banner ads, Pinterest, and a lot more. It's chock full of ideas, examples, and tips for noobs and pros alike. So check out the free guide to digital ad design in the link in the description down below of this video. Hope you like it. Direct mail. Being one of the more traditional mediums for advertising, direct mail is able to cut through the clutter that is the internet. However, design mistakes here are extremely costly. Not only do you need to be 100% certain about your design, you also need to make sure that it looks good on paper, because once you hit print, there's no going back. Sadly, there's no undo button for reality. I've tried it. It doesn't exist. Sorry to tell you. So before you print your ad, here are some great direct mail advertising design ideas to help you get started. First, outdoor ads. Billboards, street furniture, and transit ads. They're all different kinds of outdoor ads. So how do you capture the attention of people walking by who are likely glued to their phone screens? Well, with creative ads that engage your audience, of course. When you're creating an outdoor ad campaign, a pretty poster design isn't enough. Sorry to tell you that. You need to engage people so much that they're taking the action that you want them to take. such as buy a product with your promo code or visit your website. It's a good idea to use specific promo codes for each display to help measure the overall effectiveness of that ad. This is because tracking outdoor ads is much less clear than digital ads, where you can see anything from clicks, views, and saves to subsequent purchases and website visits. Email marketing. Email marketing continues to deliver a strong return on investment, considering that for every $1 you spend on this channel, you can expect an average return of $42. That's pretty great, if you ask me. But with so many promotional emails in people's inboxes, it's important to create a visually compelling message that drives your audience to take action. So how do you design an ad for email? Well, look at how the top companies do it. Study those direct-to-consumer e-commerce brands who design beautiful emails with a very clear call to action. Oh, and here's a tip. Try not to stuff too many CTAs or call to actions in your promotional emails. In fact, keeping it to only one is optimal, as you can see with this example. Event advertising. There is no better way to connect with your audience than face-to-face. And event advertising can be anything from sponsoring an event all the way to running your own. But there's so much to think about when it comes to event advertising, so to help you get started, here are some creative ideas. You could create a photo booth, newspaper and magazine ads. Newspaper and magazine ads can be extremely effective when both the message and the design translate the way that you intend it to. A company that has completely knocked this out of the park is the clothing company Patagonia. Creating a Black Friday campaign that stands up can be extremely tough because there are so many people doing it. Everyone and their grandma wants to advertise on Black Friday. Not only did Patagonia stand out with their "Don't Buy This Jacket" campaign, but they also stayed true to their brand and their values of sustainability. And here's a tip. Do your research. Make sure that your audience not only spends time reading, but that you're also advertising in the right newspaper or magazine. You likely wouldn't advertise your innovative tampon brand in Men's Health, would you? Or maybe you would. It's kind of... No matter the medium you decide on for your next ad campaign, the same principles apply across the board. So here are the biggest takeaways. Tell a story. Don't underestimate the value of great storytelling. Just be sure that your story visually translates to your audience. Always have a CTA, or call to action. Unless your campaign's goal is to increase brand awareness, always have a solid call to action so people know what to do next. Keep it simple. If your ad is too complicated, chances are you'll confuse your audience. Choose short and punchy copy. With advertising design, the focus should be on the design itself, so give it some room to shine. When you create an ad, no matter the medium, you're creating an extension of your brand. Thousands, if not millions of people will see your ad, so make sure that it's conveying the message that you want. And remember that copy will tell a story with words, but great design will bring that story to life. Great ad.
I wanted to just kind of show you this next little part. It gets to be him kind of basically trying to sell his business, which is fine. That's what he's there for. But I just wanted to show you the different types of ads. We're kind of focusing on magazine print ads because they don't change too much, right? If you were talking about some sort of Facebook ad, it might only be there briefly, and then 8 months later, I won't be able to find it. So we're deliberately looking for the type of ads that'll stick around and that I'll be able to find. I wanted to show you a few things. So here's like a Nike magazine ad. It says the shoe works if you do. You see some shoes. The shoes look a little dirty, not perfectly clean. It says the Nike Sweet Classic High is comfortable while still remaining in style. With great quality and a wide variety of color options, these sneakers are perfect for casual use. Stay fly, stay fresh, and get yourself a pair. Just do it. So who made this ad? Well, Nike. Down here, you can tell here and here they've said it. What are they selling? They're selling this particular style of shoe, the Classic Sweet High. Who is their audience? Okay, the moment you get the word classic in there, they're probably not selling to young people. Classic usually means they're selling to a more mature audience, maybe the kind of people who wore these shoes the first time they came out. But sometimes what happens is everything old is new again, and it becomes kind of hip to wear something that's vintage. So it could be possible that this is the hip new thing for the young people. That would not be me, so you'll have to tell me about that one. How are they trying to convince you to buy their product? Well, they're selling an image, right? The shoes are already a little bit dirty. The background's kind of all scuffed up. It's like they're kind of trying to get across the idea of comfy, cozy, nostalgia. So something that fits right in with you. You're not having to like aim high. You don't have to be an athlete to buy these shoes. These are shoes for anybody. All right, look at this image. This really caught my eye. It says spare parts for humans are not as original as those for cars. Don't drink and drive. And then down here in tiny little letters, it says issued in public interest by BMW. So this is a strange ad. Who made it? BMW. But don't they sell cars? Yeah, they do. Well, who's their audience? Well, it's still people who sell cars, who buy cars, right? That what they're trying to kind of get across, like, we're a responsible company. Like, yes, we want you to buy our cars, but we want you to drive responsibly, right? So they're trying to make themselves look empathetic and again, the word responsible is what keeps coming to mind, right? They're aware of the damage cars can cause and they want you to be aware. And so they're helping you really. So they're still selling cars though, because otherwise they wouldn't need that little symbol there at all, right? They could just pay for that ad without ever having their company symbol. The fact that they're having that symbol there means they think it increases people's good image of their brand. Okay. So assignment 28 is called Advertisers and Their Audiences. It's worth 30 marks and it's got two parts. So part A we're going to talk about today and part B we will tackle tomorrow because they're both pretty big ones really. So part A, it's important to notice how different groups of people are portrayed or seen in different advertisements. Your task is to go through some magazines and or newspapers until you've found some advertisements targeted towards the following groups of people, which will be on the next page. We'll talk about that in a minute. You can do this assignment using advertisements found on the internet, but the ads themselves have to be the format of a magazine ad. And I'll talk a little bit more later about what I mean by that. Make sure you get permission from the owner of a magazine before you rip the ad out. Obviously, friends, you can just take a picture with your phone. You don't have to actually rip the magazine out if you don't want to. Hang on to any ads that you choose or that you photograph for the second part of the assignment. If you want to, you can always just start a little page in Google Slides and put all your little links there. If you're doing a lot of digital ads, you do want to be able to find them again because we are going to use them for part B, okay? Fill in the chart that follows to describe using point form what the ad is trying to sell and how the people are portrayed in the advertisement. If you do want to look at actual print magazines, that's fine. I'm all over that. You can find print magazines in nursing stations, doctors or dentist's office. Sometimes the library at the grade school might have you look at the magazines. Public library, obviously don't rip out the magazines there. And small stores might sell magazines. So here is the sheet that you fill out. And down here, they've got different types of people. And here they've got a very small space for writing down what they're selling and how they're being portrayed. So the people we're looking at is senior citizens, women, men, teenagers, people of color, parents, families, children, celebrities, middle-aged people, young adults. Young adults would be like not quite teenagers, but like 19 to maybe 25-year-olds. They don't have families yet, but they might not be finished high school, might be still in college. Wealthy people. And the next two kind of confused me. Disadvantaged people and people with challenges. Now, I'm going to say you can use your best judgment on how those are different because they kind of sound the same to me. So I will take whatever you give me for these. But as I was trying to think about it and trying to think, well, how are those different? What I thought was when they were saying people with challenges, I wondered if maybe they were trying to be very politically correct. And they were really just kind of thinking of people that have medical issues, like possibly they're in a wheelchair or they have like a noticeable disability. but I'm not sure. Maybe they meant something different. I don't really know. Disadvantaged people. Like they already had people of color here, but I didn't know what they meant. Do they mean minorities? Like racial or sexual or religious, or do they mean those in poverty? We've kind of already covered senior citizens who might be disadvantaged. Maybe they mean people in other countries. I'm really not kind of sure. It's a very vague term. So I will literally take anything as long as I can look at those two and think, yeah, they're kind of disadvantaged or they kind of have a challenge in some way. And I think it's a very vague statement. I think actually might be kind of hard to find some, but you can take a look and see what you find. I'm very curious as to what you guys produce for that. And I will be very lenient in the marking because I think it's so vague. Okay. Now, if you're doing a search digitally, I want to be cautious for you. If you just put in magazine ads, it's going to bring up all sorts of images, but not all of them are actually magazine ads. So here are some examples from one search that I did. And I just want to point out, just because the search engine grabs it, doesn't mean it really counts as a magazine ad. So what's wrong with these images and how do I know that they don't count? Okay, well, this isn't an ad. This is just a picture of somebody's desk. They've got the word advertising on their computer screen, but that doesn't make it a magazine ad. This is the cover of a magazine, absolutely, but it's not an ad. They're not really selling anything. I suppose they're kind of selling these people, but I would really more call this a magazine cover, not an ad. This is very graphic. It's really interesting, but it doesn't really look like an ad. I don't think they're selling anything unless it's tiny down there that I can't see. It looks more like it's a bit of a meme, or maybe it's a photo that somebody's done to go along with a magazine story. So how can I be sure something is a magazine ad if I'm looking digitally? Well, typical magazine ads are usually the full page of the magazine. So they're 8.5 by 11 inches approximately. And they'll usually look like long rectangles. And they generally are shown portrait view because people are reading the magazine this way. So they don't normally turn it around. You know how you could turn it around and do it the other way? They don't normally have it the other way because people don't read magazines that way. So it's normally going to be upright. All right. The name of the product will be somewhere on the page. It could be really small, but it will be there. If there's no name of a product, like the company, like Dell, Nike, Sephora, whatever, if it's not there, it's probably not an ad. It won't have the name of a magazine on it. If it's got the name of a magazine, if it's got Elle, Vogue, Canadian Living, whatever, it's a magazine cover. It's not necessarily an ad. There are no moving graphics. If anything's moving there, it's a computer ad. It's not a magazine ad. Okay. If you enter magazine print ads into your search engine, a lot of items will come up. So here's an example. Here's a screenshot of all the different things that came up. Not all of these are ads. Which ones actually are our ads? This is an example. I'm going to kind of grab that. That's an ad. This is an actual ad. Okay. This one, I think there's a little ad there, maybe. The whole thing isn't the ad though, right? I would actually probably want to click into that and find out what's going on there. That I think is an ad. This I'm not sure of. I would want to click on it. I think it might be a picture of ads that are going to come up. So I'm not sure about that one. This, yeah, there's definitely an ad there. And this there is. It kind of turned it. I think this is, but I would also want to click through and see that as it goes. This looks like one as well. Oops, I apologize. Don't do that. Sorry, it's the problem of using Google Slides. It does move around a little bit. Okay, this is one. We'll have to kind of just trust it. There's one there. I can't really see it very well, but we will hope for the best there. I'm going to cut that one just because I messed it up. Can't really see it great, but that's one there too. It does say underneath magazine ad designs, I might click through. So you can see this is actually pretty good. So this is not necessarily. I would make sure I wouldn't use the small image that you're seeing. I would click on it, try and go to the bigger image and see. I just want to click on the next thing. Sometimes if you see this image, not only can you use that image, but there's a story or like a little link underneath. You can click on it and they might have some more ads that'll work for what we're doing. Okay. It's a great way to find some things. I found all sorts of interesting things there. Now, I tried to check out digital magazines because they do exist. And I thought maybe they would have replicas of some of the print ads, but they really did not seem to, at least the ones I looked on. It seemed like they had all their articles in one area. And they had like a little section for shopping or ads elsewhere. And they were very digital ads. They weren't magazine based like the old fashioned digital traditional magazine ads. So I would not use the digital version. It didn't seem to pull up the right thing. For the purposes of this assignment, we're looking for ads targeted or that show certain types of people. So you can always enter very specific terms, like rather than just looking for magazine ads and hoping you find one with senior citizens, you can deliberately say magazine ads with senior citizens. Okay. Again, not all of these are necessarily ads. Like I don't think this is kind of talking about it. I'm not sure if that one is. Some of them were what I would call public service announcements. They weren't necessarily advertising anything. So, but worth a shot. So that's kind of a search tip because we are doing kind of a specific kind of search. So then I want to kind of show you what the assignment would look like. And I'm sorry this is so blurry. When I tried to make it big, it just got really, really kind of out of hand. So on this side is senior citizens. So here is an ad I found that has senior citizens and then the portrayal. What are they trying to sell in the ad? And what are they portraying them like, right? So what are they selling? If you look down here, they're selling home healthcare services. So like PSWs, people that would come to the house, they'd help feed your older parents, they'd help clean them, maybe help do laundry and stuff. So they're selling home health care. That's what they're selling. Services, basically. I'll say services here. It's not a thing, it's a service. How are they portraying the older people here? This is pretty positive, I would say, first of all. They look ordinary. They don't look rich particularly. They don't look that unhealthy. And I love that they're in like a golden glow in a field. And then they have crowned, like it says, and their ad, it says like live like royalty. I think it's a great sales thing. The idea that, someone's going to come in and take care of them as if they were super rich and as if they were very special. I think it's a great way to convey their services. I hope the services are as good as they convey, but it's a very positive portrayal of senior citizens who don't always get a positive portrayal in ads, by the way, in case you're wondering. Now, I found that page really small and I have kind of big handwriting. I would not be able to fit my handwriting in. And if I did, nobody else would be able to read it but me. So if you also find that it's too small, you can just set up like a little notebook and just do your handwriting there. That way you can use as many lines as you need. Just do some straight lines here. And then you just photograph this or have your DEC fax it over to me. That's totally fine, okay? Can you please try and read tonight chapter 5 and chapter 6 of the book called Jimmy Comes Home? Because we start unit 3 next week and we start needing to get fairly far along in the book to discuss some of the assignments. Chapter 5 is really short. It's about Teresa. It shouldn't take you very long. Chapter 6 discusses some very challenging subjects. I was a little bit concerned, especially if anybody out there is feeling already a little bit sad or is already struggling with depression, okay? If you find yourself overwhelmed reading this chapter, or if you find yourself triggered by negative thoughts while reading it, it is totally okay to stop reading that chapter. You do not have to finish it, okay? I'm giving you permission to not read that chapter. Does not matter to me. We can totally skip over it for the purposes of this novel, okay? Reach out to your local health authorities or hospital if you feel like you need help. On the next slide, I'm going to include a slide of possible hotlines to call if you feel like you're having an emergency health crisis, okay? I really, really encourage you to reach out to people. There's a lot of very big subjects discussed in this book, and I could totally see how it might be upsetting for some people. So one possible site you can call is called Hope for Wellness Hotline. They offer immediate help to all Indigenous people across Canada. It is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And there's a toll-free helpline. There's also an online chat at www.hopeforwellness.ca. There is a suicide hotline available for 1-833-456-4566. There's another one called Talk for Healing. This is specifically targeted for Indigenous women. I apologize, men, but it's for the women. If you are Métis, the 24-hour mental health and addictions crisis line is run by the Métis Nation, and they will deliver services in person, over the phone, or by video conference. I'm sorry, I'm wording when I pronounce this wrong, but there's the Anatig Healing Lodge and Learning Center. They give their number. If you are in the Fort Frances area, there is Tribal Area Health Services. Okay. I've been trying to keep the grammar kind of the same for both courses because sometimes I was forgetting who had done what type of grammar with me. I wanted to cover real quick these verb tenses because I did cover them with the other class. Let me see if it'll come up.
This is the freedom
So I
to
want to make
bank
sure I
with us
covered this with you as
anytime,
well. And I will go
anywhere.
in
Download
this,
the app
like,
today.
over more in depth, but it is kind of an important part of English, okay? So we're just going to cover it real quick before our session ends.
Grammatical tense is how languages talk about time without explicitly naming time periods, by instead modifying verbs to specify when action occurs. So how many different tenses are there in a language like English? At first, the answer seems obvious. There's past, present, and future. But thanks to something called grammatical aspect, each of those time periods actually divides further. There are 4 kinds of aspect. In the continuous or progressive aspect, the actions are still happening at the time of reference. The perfect aspect describes actions that are finished. The perfect progressive aspect is a combination, describing a completed part of a continuous action. And finally, there's the simple aspect, the basic form of the past, present, and future tense, where an action is not specified as continuous or discrete. That's all a little hard to follow, so let's see how it works in action. Let's say your friends tell you they went on a secret naval mission to collect evidence of a mysterious sea creature. The tense sets the overall frame of reference in the past, but within that, there are many options. Your friends might say a creature attacked their boat. That's the past simple, the most general aspect, which gives no further clarification. They were sleeping when it happened, a continuous process underway at that point. They might also tell you they had departed from Nantucket to describe an action completed even earlier. That's an example of the past perfect. Or that they had been sailing for 3 weeks, something that was ongoing up until that point. In the present, they tell you that they still search for the creature today, their present simple activity. Perhaps they are preparing for their next mission, continuously as they speak. And they have built a special submarine for it, a completed achievement. Plus, if they have been researching possible sightings of the creature, it's something they've been doing for a while and are still doing now, making it present perfect progressive. So what does this next mission hold? You know it still hasn't happened because they will depart next week, the future simple. Your friends will be searching for the elusive creature, an extended continuous undertaking. They tell you the submarine will have reached uncharted depths a month from now. That's a confident prediction about what will be achieved by a specific point in the future, a point at which they will have been voyaging for 3 weeks in the future perfect progressive. The key insight to all these different tenses is that each sentence takes place in a specific moment, whether it's past, present, or future. The point of aspects is that they tell you, as of that moment, the status of the action. In total, they give us 12 possibilities in English. What about other languages? Some, like French, Swahili, and Russian, take a similar approach to English. Others describe and divide time differently. Some have fewer grammatical tenses, like Japanese, which only distinguishes past from non-past. Buli and Tukangbesi, which only distinguish future from non-future. And Mandarin Chinese, with no verb tenses at all, only aspect. On the other hand, languages like Yagua split past tense into multiple degrees, like whether something happened hours, weeks, or years ago. In others, tenses are intertwined with moods that convey urgency, necessity, or probability of events. This makes translation difficult, but not impossible. Speakers of most languages without certain tenses can express the same ideas with auxiliary words like would or did, or by specifying the time they mean. Are the variations from language to language just different ways of describing the same fundamental reality? Or do their diverse structures reflect different ways of thinking about the world, and even time itself? And if so, what other ways of conceiving time may be out there? TED-Ed is a nonprofit. If you value our work, please consider supporting it on Patreon.
Okay, so I wanted to include that because we did talk about verb tenses the other day. It will come up a little bit later. We're going to discuss how the verb tenses need to match their subject, and also how the verb tense needs to stay the same throughout your writing. Didn't want to tackle, it's kind of a big topic, so I didn't want to tackle all of it. We have, let me just take a quick check, but I think we've pretty much covered everything we need to cover today. Yeah. Okay, so we are good for today. And tomorrow we will finish up and discuss the last assignment in Unit 2. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I hope you have a good evening.